Overnight, we didn't get shock headlines, but we did get numbers, and numbers don't lie. Day 2 of the second Bahrain pre-season test delivered verified lap times and lap counts that tell us more about team intentions, development pace, and behavioural confidence than any single fastest lap completed. So in this episode, we'll affirm what the data confirms and why the behaviour on track supports narrative we've been building around Ferrari's preparation. And by the end of this episode, you'll understand not just who went fastest, but who ran most effectively under these new 2026 regulations. But a quick one. I just wanted to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of you who's taken the time to view, listen, like, follow, and subscribe to our podcast. Your support has been absolutely incredible and has been a massive source of motivation for me personally. Now, we're a small channel and we're just trying to find our place in the vast world of Formula One and connect with like-minded fans. At All Motorsports Podcast, our goal is to create a vibrant community where we can talk about Formula One and share our passion with others. Now, I do have a small favour to ask you. If you value what we do at All Motorsports Podcast, please consider following or subscribing to our podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. Your support will help us to continue to build and grow our community of Formula One enthusiasts. Thanks again for being part of this journey. Now, back to it. The numbers that matter. Here's what Day 2 officially gave us. Kimi Antonelli topped the timesheets for Mercedes with a 1 minute 32.8. We've mostly seen 1 minute 33s thus far. Oscar Piastri was right there with a 1 minute 32.861 for McLaren. Very close. And Max, never far away, ran a 1:33.162. But he did complete 139 laps, which is significant in itself. And the people I've been talking about a lot who've been showing that consistency. We have Lewis Hamilton, who put his Ferrari in the top 5 with a 1 minute 33.408, completing 78 laps. Now pause for a second. The fastest lap is interesting, but the lap count is revealing. 139 laps for Verstappen is not qualifying work. That's race simulation and behavioural tuning. 78 laps for Ferrari with a new rear wing introduced overnight. That's validation running, and that distinction matters. Ferrari, they showed us what they are now capable of. Ferrari again made headlines overnight, this time with a new active rear wing test item that has stood out. It stood out so much on the SF that it's all people are talking about.
Attention to the rear wing on the Ferrari SF26, and you can see it very clearly just sitting on top there. Watch it go back into corner mode. There you go. The wing.
It was, to be honest, operationally subtle. This rotating rear wing concept, flipping on straights and standard underbraking, is one of the first active aero elements we've seen in the 2026 era. And critically, and most critically, it didn't destabilise the car at all. Hamilton completed a full program of 78 laps, as already mentioned, with this wing introduced. It's not a token few laps, but a meaningful sequence of usable laps. And that matters because it didn't produce massive times, so it didn't provide some significant advantage, but it didn't destabilise the car. Ferrari maintained consistent deployment patterns. Their long-run degradation continued to be smooth. Now, that is behavioural validation. It's not a reckless showpiece. If you introduce aero this late in testing and maintain stability, it tells you one thing, that you understand your baseline, that you're not searching, but you're just refining. And this strengthens the idea we discussed yesterday. Ferrari may not be the fastest car in isolation, but they look comfortable managing energy deployment and long-run balance under these new regulations, so they can make these changes. And to me, that is behavioural confidence. Now let's talk Red Bull. Red Bull also logged a lot of laps. 139 laps, the highest individual count among front-running drivers on the timesheet today. And it wasn't about showing pace. It wasn't about mapping vehicle and driver habit. It wasn't about showing pace. It was all about mapping vehicle and driver behaviour. And it aligns with Verstappen's recent comments that the 2026 regulations are more complex than people actually think. He hasn't been criticising speed of the car. He's been questioning the drivability and the consistency. And when you see the lap volume, it suggests Red Bull are now prioritising the behaviour tuning over headline times. High mileage usually indicates long-run programs, race simulation focus, data-rich mapping activities, and looking at behavioural consistency. But look at the lap time gap. Verstappen's 1 minute 33.162 was fast, but it wasn't the quickest. And that suggests Red Bull are prioritising usable race simulation data over single lap headlines. And that's behaviour, not raw speed. So it's not a weakness at this point, but it is an adjustment. Mercedes topped the timesheets. Again, this time it was Antonelli with 1 minute 32.8. The fastest of the day tells us Mercedes still have organised correlation work underpinning their program and maintaining competitive pace. Russell was steady, but he was over 1.3 seconds off Antonelli's pace. Now, no need to panic. All it is it's suggesting that they are doing correlation work and making adjustments that are, in the end, potentially favouring one driver in their practice stint than another. McLaren, who are very much staying under the radar compared to other teams. Piastri set the second fastest time. Again, this is showing that they are focusing on correlation work. He was faster than Norris, who ran a 1 minute 33.5, showing that they're balancing their pace and their mileage. They're not doing both. They're not actually doing one or the other, should I say. And that's important. These teams aren't just running, they're validating performance across both drivers, and they're doing it within the testing window. They're not guessing. They're looking for data. And in regulation reset seasons, settled teams score early points. And this is what they are doing. Let's strip this down and connect the dots with what the data actually confirms. So, Ferrari, they introduced aero refinement in a meaningful program, and it maintained stability. So from their perspective, they are now experimenting to see what performance benefits they can get by changing hardware on the car. Red Bull have logged massive mileage, and now they are prioritising car behaviour over pace. They know they can get the pace. Now they want to see if they can get the pace over a race duration. Mercedes, they've combined speed and data collection, and that has been evident in the fact they've been topping the timesheets on a more consistent basis. McLaren, they are playing a very consistent game across all metrics. They are being operationally clean. The other teams, though, they're all accumulating usable laps, some more than others. And that is going to be critical for them this year. But this isn't about who is fastest right now. It's about who is understanding their car the fastest. And racing isn't won on fastest lap time, especially in an energy management era that we're about to enter. Teams are transitioning from exploration mode into preparation mode. And Ferrari, adding a rear wing without disrupting long-run stability, suggests they are refining, not correcting. To me, that is significant. And that plays into the narrative that I've been talking about since last week. Ferrari are going into Melbourne, in my view, as being the most operationally prepared team. Here's what the numbers whisper. In 2026 era, performance isn't singular. It's multidimensional. Fastest lap? No. Stable race simulation? High mileage? Refined aero understanding? Yes, that is what teams will need to understand most. Ferrari's rear wing test delivered validated data, not noise, even though the media were all over it. Red Bull's high lap count, well, that should have been bigger news than the wing, because that is showing that Red Bull are now doing behavioural tuning. They too are refining. Mercedes and McLaren, well, they are balanced and have been for some time. And Mercedes is consistently putting themselves at the top of the leaderboard when it comes to pace. And the teams that look most behaviourally settled right now, in my opinion, are Ferrari and McLaren. That doesn't make them the champions though, but it does mean they look comfortable. And in my view, comfortable teams will make fewer mistakes in Melbourne. So here's the question for you. In a regulation reset season, do you value peak pace or operational calmness. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, so feel free to drop your comments below. And if you're keen to stay in the loop and get more of Optimus, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube, Spotify, and Apple channel. That way, you won't miss a thing. If Bahrain is teaching us anything, it's that the season might be shaping up already. I'm Nathan, and thanks for tuning in to All Motorsports Podcast. I'll catch you up again when we dive into day 3 of Test 2. Cheers.